Welcome to Water Talk with Paul the Waterman, brought to you by Water Pros. Paul the Waterman is Colorado's expert on all things related to the water we use and drink in our homes. Have you ever thought about where your water actually comes from? Is it safe to drink? Is it harmful to my health, my skin, my hair? Paul the Waterman knows water, and he has the answers. Haystack Help Radio proudly presents Water Talk. Now here's your host, Scott Watley, and owner of Water Pros, Paul the Waterman.
Old Ann and I, with throats burned dry and souls that cry for water, water, cool water, clear water, water, keep a moving and don't you let.
And we'd like to welcome you to Water Talk, brought to you by Water Pros. Hey, thank you so much for being with us. We're here every week, and we thank you for being with us as well. Paul Dowding, owner of Water Pros, better known as Paul the Waterman, joins us as always. How are you, sir?
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Friday's always good.
Especially after this week. This was a long week. Was this a long week?
You know, there are some weeks that you think, all right, you wake up Monday and you're like, oh, my gosh.
The first day.
And then all of a sudden, it's Friday.
The first day seemed like it was 2 days.
Yeah.
And then the
and
second
then there's
day
other weeks
was like
that drag
Tuesdays,
on like they're a month.
Tuesday seemed like it was a day, but Wednesday seemed like it was 3 days.
So what's your favorite time of year? What season do you like best?
Well, I like Christmas the best, but summertime,
It's awesome.
being in the swimming pool, we get to put up a little above ground swimming pool. So it's
Daylight real long. I love that.
Oh, I do.
Man.
And then it's kind of like a kid. You're outside. Remember years ago, you come inside, from the summer being out of school and riding your bikes and just, and it's 9 o'clock at night.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it just goes from daylight to bedtime that quick. No in between.
Now bedtime, we wish it was 9 o'clock, right?
Hey, we have some breaking news.
Breaking news.
Breaking news. This is important stuff now. Nobody out there is going to break this story like we're going to break this story today.
I'm ready.
Okay, you ready? There is a contaminant in our drinking water that the EPA has not regulated yet. So I guess you would call that an unregulated contaminant.
That sounds good so far.
Okay. And the name of it is 1,4-dioxane.
1,4-dioxane.
Yeah,
I wonder
they gave that a special
who
name.
sits around a room going,
right.
Let's
Where we're
call
going
it
to come up with this 1,4-dioxane. So, in summary, you like that news?
Yeah, that's good. That sounded very authentic.
Was that good? Summary here: the State Water Resource Control Board has adapted a drinking water notification level, NL, of 1 microgram per liter of 1,4-dioxane, and it's primarily used as a stabilizer and solvent. It's also a component of some cosmetics, detergents, and shampoos. But the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency classifies 1,4-dioxane as a possible human carcinogen. It's highly soluble in water. So what this means is it's going to pass right through the soil into the aquifer. Okay. So being in a shampoo and soaps and detergents and cosmetics, so something that, again, I'm guessing probably over the last 104 years, it's something that's been used in everyday cleaning, products, shampoo, right, soaps, cosmetics, makeup. And now it's at a contaminant level where they're worried about it creating cancer. And so there haven't been enough studies yet. They're using lab mice and lab rats and feeding them either water with dioxin or air, and they're all, testing positive with cancer.
Right. Now, you Googled something about dioxane in Colorado. What came up?
1,4-dioxane is a solvent that has been found as groundwater contaminant in Colorado. It's also probable human carcinogen, is classified by the EPA. 1,4-dioxane can contaminate groundwater due to industrial waste, discharges, plastic manufacturing runoff, landfill runoff. It also is commonly present in raw materials used to produce many cosmetic products such as cleaners, detergent, shampoos.
But in Colorado.
In Colorado. Here we go. That's so. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, there's going to be more out there. And what I mean more out there is there's going to be more contaminants concern in our water supply. Did you realize there's now 9,000 contaminants in the PFAS family? 9,000.
It's almost just like we're drinking PFAS, dude.
But we're drinking.
You know?
We're not drinking H2O. And so this goes back to with reverse osmosis. A point of use reverse osmosis system will absolutely remove this carcinogen from your drinking water supply. So there is hope. Reverse osmosis drinking water systems will absolutely remove the PFAS forever chemicals. I was talking to a gentleman today. There's a mobile home community that has high nitrates. And so the only way to remove high nitrates is either with an anion resin-based system, but that wouldn't be practical, or a commercial reverse osmosis unit. But then these owners of these properties have to look at it, and a commercial reverse osmosis system could be as much as $70,000. But then they look at, well, would it be cheaper to drill a well? And I said, well, okay, you can't guarantee if you drill a brand new well that the water quality is going to be any different. There's no guarantee. Well drillers cannot guarantee the quality of the water. Mm-hmm. They just can't do it.
And again, I've said this many times, keep your train of thought where you want to go, but I think many times people think just because they simply have a well, everything we talk about does not include them.
No, I have to agree with that. I mean, well water in some cases is no different than a municipal water supply. The only difference would be that it's not chlorinated for sanitation purposes. Mm-hmm. But they'll have the same issues. I'm talking to a customer that has high iron content. Now, we have solutions for high iron content. We have solutions for these chemical contamination carcinogens that we're talking about. But, this 1,4-dioxin I think it's just the tip of the iceberg of other contaminants in everyday cleaning products. So a water softener, believe it or not, will eliminate and reduce these contaminations. We've mentioned before, if you want our water environment is the most important aspect in the world today. It's a global issue.
Right.
Everybody deserves clean water.
Sure.
Okay. So if we use water softening basically cuts down and eliminates a lot of these household cleaners that we use. Did you guys do that washcloth test? I mean, you have the water softener.
We did
right?
this morning, actually. I said, look, I know he's going to ask me if we did. Let's stop and do it. And it was 95% clearer than when you came and did seriously.
But still a little cloud.
Still just so minor.
But so what that means is that you use less cleaning products, and if you're still using a little more than you should, that unused soap will come out. Mm-hmm. So the whole thing about a water softener is eliminates hard water, helps the appliances, right? The wash machine, the dishwasher, and then the hot water heater for sure. But also cuts back on what contaminants that we're putting in to the wastewater that ends up in our water reservoirs. So common sense is a dying commodity in today's world. We have to realize that if this 1,4-dioxin is getting into our water supply because of shampoo, just for an example, what does that mean? It's passing through the waste treatment plant. Mm-hmm. And then it gets into the environment with atmospheric, rainwater. That's how chemical contamination is. Right. PFAS is a global issue because it's light, it travels through rainwater. Pharmaceuticals are going to be a global issue because they travel through rainwater. When you have these other industrialized nations that don't have the same practices that we do, or simply just don't care.
Right.
Okay. Arsenic, case in point, arsenic can travel through rainwater. So let's pick on China. If China has manufacturing practices that's nowhere near the standards that we have here in the United States, And they have manufacturing that's dumping a bunch of arsenic in wastewater, and the wastewater then it gets absorbed up through the moisture and it's rainwater, and that's carried all globally. Same with the nuclear fallout in Japan.
Now, let me explain what Paul meant there when he asked me if we'd done this washcloth test. When Paul comes out for his water test, this is one thing that really caught me off guard. I figured he'd come in with some kind of black briefcase with all kinds of little gimmicks in there to scare you about your water. He doesn't do that. He asks you for a bottle of water. He asks you for a bowl and a clear glass and a washcloth. So you pour your bottle of water on there, because that's soft water, right, Paul?
Yep, soft water.
Right. Then you get your washcloth all wet, you wring it out, and for about 3 times of wringing it out, it looked like skim milk in a glass.
That was all the trap soap in the washcloth.
I mean, it was unbelievable. It was oh my gosh.
When it builds up and it sticks to the fibers.
Right.
So before I forget, it's really important I have to do this, okay?
Okay.
Hi, Charlie. How you doing today, little girl?
Oh, your granddaughter again? All right. She didn't get tired of listening to you?
No. She's my, my super fan.
Right, absolutely. Well, Charlie, thanks for listening. But so we did that. So then we did the water softener first with you. And we do this show every week, and I hear all this stuff. So, hey, I'm as guilty as anybody of putting it off. Finally, a few weeks ago, here's what our wake-up call was. Highlands Ranch knocked on our door and said, in 30 minutes, we're going to cut your water off. We've got to fix a problem. In about 4 hours, when it came back on, our water was disgusting. And, I mean, I don't even know what all in it, but it was terrible. And we had zero control over that. So Paul came out, put in our reverse osmosis system in, and I'm telling you, Paul, I don't even know in the 20 years we've lived there if we have ever, as we reflected back this morning, ever went to our sink, got a glass out of the cupboard, and filled it and drank it out of the sink. We've never done that since we've lived in this house. We have bought Dasani water, just being honest with you, for years and years and years and years and years. That's all we've ever drank. And, man, it is so nice now. And, by the way, our sink, we had the little extra cover there, so your guy popped that out, boom, he was done. And it is so good. And this isn't a sales. I mean, I'm just telling you, man, it is a world of difference, better than the Dasani.
And he added the ice maker, too.
Then we add the ice.
That's
and
right.
Everything you said. I mean, man, it's just refreshing for once.
I drink tons of water. I think the most important thing is water's a flushing agent. But the most important thing is that if your water tastes good, you're going to drink more of it.
Absolutely.
And with the ice cubes. And so, and coffees and teas, it just enhances the flavors. Back to this issue with the 1,4-dioxane. And it's you can look it up yourself, Google, 1,4, and then it's spelled DIOXANE. Do your research, and you'll see, it's... there's a video on YouTube from Yale University, I believe. When I caught this, and he said it's an undetected or unregistered contaminant,
mm-hmm.
and there hasn't been enough research or testing done. And the thing that kind of concerned me at first is that they do animal testing. And then, because you think about your dog, right? Did everybody see the picture, during the hearings this week where Fauci, they were using dogs?
Yeah.
Man, those guys just need to be, there's a special place that they have to go to. So when I found out, that they use lab rats and lab mice, then I wasn't feeling so bad. So I'm discriminating against mice and rats.
Right.
Okay, so I'm sorry
but
about
dogs,
that.
Dude.
Right. Seriously. Okay, so they still have to do more research, and so what's it going to take for them to list this? And I'm guessing they're going to throw it in the PFAS family.
Mm-hmm.
But for the PFAS contamination, started out with 4 contaminants. I think we went up to 197 total contaminants, and now this morning, over 9,000 on top of the pharmaceutical issue. But let's get back to the main point. This comes from everyday household products that we use. And so with everyday household products that we use, my other question is what else is out there in everyday household products that we use that's going to be harmful for our drinking water.
Right. And here's something on some notes. Exposure to the 1,4-dioxane occurs from breathing contaminated air, ingestion of contaminated food, and drinking water.
There you go. Public drinking water testing, is required, although the maximum contamination level has not been established for this contaminant. Notification is recommended if concentrations are above 1 UG are observed. So that's, in a sense, like a micro.
Yeah, not much.
Right. So I think as the days go by, more contaminants are going to be released. And the other issue, I've said this before, is, the pharmaceutical. And so everybody, I encourage you to consider getting a reverse osmosis drinking water system at minimum in your home. Mm-hmm. But the other thing to think about is, purchasing a water softener. People need to think this. And I don't mean to try to tell people what to think. Sorry about that. But, if I get a reverse osmosis, I'm helping my health. But if I get a water softener, I'm helping our water environment.
Oh, that's interesting.
Right? If I get a water softener, I'm going to cut back down on cleaners and detergents and soaps that clearly are contaminating our water supply.
Mm-hmm.
No one would have thought that.
Right.
But that's where they come from.
Yep.
And so, if you Google, does water, cause cancer, there's chemicals that we've read before, but really hard to, pronunciate, right? That is used before the disinfection process. So when you take sewage and they separate the sewage, well, here's what we found out. So in the waste treatment plant, and it sounds gross, and forgive me, but if you take the sewage out of the waste treatment plant, they would take that sewage, sell it to a company who would convert it to fertilizer and sell it to farmers.
Right.
Well, guess what we found out? Bad idea, because all the contaminant levels of PFAS that basically was in that sewage. So that means that raw human sewage contains so much PFAS that when they take it from a waste treatment plant, make fertilizer, it contaminated farms in Texas and Michigan.
Right.
To the point where the farms were no longer usable.
Mm-hmm.
And the animals, because of the high levels in cattle, because cattle basically graze the hay fields, so fertilizer is used to help grow crops.
Right.
Fertilizer is also used to help grow the pastures, the hay fields, and clover and hay combined to make a bale of hay or a round bale.
Sure.
And those are contaminated with forever chemicals, PFAS.
Mm-hmm.
So now, once they separate the sewage, then they take that water before they introduce it back into the bodies of water that they, the reservoirs or the rivers, right? The Platte River, let's just say. They add additional chemical contaminant that are cancer-causing agents to that water to treat the water before they put it back into the environment. And then when they take it back out to give it to us, they're chlorinating it it's a chloramine with chlorine and ammonia. And chlorination in drinking water creates carcinogens, trihalomethanes and dioxins, which is known that are harmful. The World Health Organization for many years has been screaming about trihalomethanes and dioxins as a contaminant that can be absorbed through our skin and inhaled. That's why when I go out to, folks that live in town, I do a hot water test for the total chlorine to show them, hey, you don't want to breathe this in.
And there are people, Paul, that, spend a lot of money on getting these steam showers and different things.
Right there, exactly. And then we also, so back to the water softener, we also, recap, have done research to show you that the minerals in water are not beneficial to the human body. So, the hard water minerals, the manganese minerals in water, your body does not absorb. It's inorganic. So we've also talked about water hardness that can build up in the artery. You talked about a specific test that they can do, an X-ray that just shows the calcium buildup in your arteries.
Oh yeah, in the carotid arteries,
Right.
They do that. They'll do these hard things now. You can do them for $150 at some of the local South Denver cardiology, which is where the cardiologist. And I did put a message into him, by the way, to try to get him on because he was on 9 News a month or so ago. And but I'm telling you, it's a problem, man. It is a health problem.
Well, then you have kidney stones and gallstones. So that's just, hard water is not a benefit. So we want to basically throw that out there. The other thing that we need to think about too, and is the pharmaceutical contamination. I really want to run that home. Do you realize, and this is something that I found out, 30% of people in the United States of America, 30% have a bacteria in their body right now that's resistant to antibiotics. 30%. And so there's a lot of antibiotics in the water. So this proves to me that I'm right about pharmaceutical contamination, because antibiotics are, in poultry and beef that we eat, pork, right? Now, some farmers are, supposed to eliminate that, but they do that for a reason.
Right.
Okay. And it's in our water supply that we're drinking. And so this is creating antibiotic-resistant bacteria to the point where you have 30% of those and people that have that bacteria resistant antibiotic, they know it, and I'm sure it's scary, and I'm sure there's medication and there's a treatment process for it, but I think that number is only going to get worse.
And think before our break here, I think all of us have been given antibiotic. It didn't work, so we didn't finish that bottle, and then they put us on another antibiotic, and then what do we do with that first bottle? Flush it down the toilet.
Right.
Probably. You're listening to Water Talk, brought to you by Water Pros. 303-862-5554 is the number. It is waterpros.net. We'll be right back.
Thinking about refinancing to save money, just waiting for the rates to come down? Do you need some relief? Take AIM, Affordable Interest Mortgage, 720-895-0500. Want to save $700 to $1,000 a month? Get a 30-year fix at 5.625. Pay off $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 in high-interest card credit debt, and give yourself some breathing room. We offer many different loan programs that will save you hundreds per month. Take AIM, 720-895-0500. Thinking about purchasing a new home, but rates are too high? When the rates do come down, will you be ready? Where does the rate need to be for you to buy your next home? Let us help get you ready by maximizing your credit score and increasing your buying power. Take AIM, 720-895-0500. Your locally owned and operated mortgage lender in Colorado for over 23 years. 720-895-0500. That's 720-895-0500. 740 FICO, 80% loan to value, $400,000 FHA loan. 6.507 APR, NMLS 217147. Regulated by DORA, equal credit lender, and rates are subject to change.
Hey, let me tell you about one of my favorite stores. It's the Outdoorsman's Attic, located at 2650 West Hamden in Sheridan. Hi, this is Scott Watley, and you may ask, why is this one of my favorite stores? Well, you never know what you're going to find. But I will promise you this. You will find great service and great bargains from this family-owned store. It may be a great deal on that 12-gauge shotgun you've been looking for, or maybe that rifle you haven't been able to find anywhere. And hey, they might even have that ammo in stock that you have been driving all over town looking for. The Outdoorsman's Attic is a consignment store for hunting, fishing, and camping gear. Now look, you've been moving that gear around your garage for months. Don't move it. Take it to the Outdoorsman's Attic and turn it into cash. Need to get that fishing license, maybe grab some live bait? Head on over to 2650 West Hamden. And if your firearm needs a little work, ask for Scott the Gunsmith. It's the Outdoorsman's Attic, 2650 West Hamden. Tell them Scott sent you.
It's summertime here in Colorado, which means you should get to enjoy some rays, go for a swim, or have a picnic. But with summer comes hail season, and that means no roof is safe from its potential destruction. Hi, this is Madison Hart.
And I'm Elizabeth Hart.
At Roof Savers Colorado, we strive to provide a high-quality roofing experience for every customer.
From plant-based rejuvenation treatments that give new life to dry, old, or minorly damaged shingles to full roofing replacements, we want to provide the best service for you and your home. Hail season brings a lot of roofing companies knocking at your door, but many fail to provide honest inspections, quality service, and customer care.
We here at Roof Savers don't want this to be your experience. With over 23 years spent in the roofing business, we're ready to help you rejuvenate or replace your old or damaged roof. Not sure the state your roof's in? Give us a call before filing your insurance claim to set up a free inspection.
Call us today at 303-710-6916 or go to roofsaversco.com. That's 303-710-6916 or go to roofsaversco.com.
You're listening to 560 KLZ, your home station.
Welcome back to Water Talk, brought to you by Water Pros. Paul Dowding is with us. Once again, the number 303-862-5554. And Paul, you know what's interesting about this? I mean, man, we've been doing this show a couple of years, and it seems like every few weeks there's different terms that come out, different things they find, and all these PFAS and all the different things. And I mean, they just didn't discover this probably right now, this dioxin. It's been around. It's just now coming out. And you just wonder, man, over the next 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, what they're going to look back and say, oh, okay, we found this was in our water in 2024. So it killed people.
I've done research, and there's been articles that link pharmaceutical contamination and water supply that date back to 1997. And so that's something, and right then, that's kind of like that's when Al Gore developed it founded the internet, was during that time, right?
Exactly.
So, can dioxins in drinking water affect my health? This is from the Department of Health in Minnesota, and the answer is the U.S. EPA has classified 1,4-dioxin as a likely human carcinogen. Low-level exposure to 1,4-dioxin over a person's lifetime can increase risk of cancer. High exposure over a shorter amount of time can damage cells in the liver, kidney, and respiratory system. This damage limits the ability of those organs to work properly. So when you read this, it's clearly, and it's here in Colorado in our water supply, we found that, it's clearly, it's time to think that there's elements in our water that if we want to go to preventive health maintenance, what good is it going to take vitamins if you're taking vitamins with contaminated water? What good is it to eat healthy if you're rinsing your vegetables off in contaminated water? I think we really have to have the mindset that part of our responsibility for health is not only having great health insurance, but have a great drinking water treatment system.
Sure. And, you talk about, and you've experienced this yourself, and not violating any HIPAA laws here, but it's a lot of sinus issues over the last few years. And you think about all the rinses that all these patients are, you wonder if they go, I'm not going to use whatever they told me. I'm just going to use regular water. How many other infections are out there because of that?
Well, the CDC, released a warning on the Nevipot because of, them using untreated water. And then brain amoebas in Texas and Florida killed 2 individuals because they used a Nevipot to rinse their sinuses. And so you wouldn't think that would be an issue from a municipal water supply. And that means that those amoebas are resistant to chlorine. So, the way to think about this is back to the water softener. Soft water eliminates laundry soap in majority of the cases. There's a company out there that does a carpet cleaning service that advertises they got this really great water. They use no detergents. Well, what are they using? They're using soft water. There was I'll tell you the truth, it's kind of a funny story. So I was talking to a gentleman regarding water as a natural cleaning agent. And so he took super glue and he glued his fingers together. And then he took the glued fingers together, right, dipped them in reverse osmosis water, and the RO water dissolved the super glue.
Don't try that at home.
True story.
But don't try that at home.
But true story.
Maybe we can get Charlie to do that for us.
Well, and Charlie pointed out something that, the shampoo commercials used to basically ask you to use, more shampoo. Apply the shampoo, wash your hair, then rinse it, and do it again. Repeat, rinse. Yeah. So think about the soaps. All right, let's think about this. Do you remember when it was in the news with all the antibacterial in soaps was bad, was actually creating bacteria to be resistant? And so now you don't hear advertised as much as the antibacterial soap anymore.
Right.
But you do, right? The gel, that was around since COVID. People used to over-applicate that gel and created skin issues for themselves. So, there are extremes to everything. But when you go to the quality of your water and you control the water that's in your home, you're controlling your own personal water environment.
Right.
With the goal, if everybody did that, then I think it would improve our water environment as a whole collectively.
Mm-hmm. I mentioned earlier about folks on well water. I want to touch back on that just a minute here because now what you said, just want to be fair and want to be correct here, you said if you have well water, they don't have to do as much chlorination. Is that right?
No, see, well water isn't chlorinated. Okay. So well water, the EPA clearly states on their website that if you're on well water, you're on your own. So any kind of municipal water supply, if a water supply serves more than 5 households, it should be chlorinated. It has to be disinfected, sanitized. Well water obviously doesn't have that, issue.
Okay.
But with well water, you have other problems. You have people that have high iron content, which stains everything, right? Stains the fixtures and stains the tile, the shower tile, the bathtub, harmful stains
and
clothes.
When we say stain, we're talking stain.
Talking orange, that's right. And so, the only way, I was talking to a gentleman today, and coming over to the studio and, and has well water and they're not used to, dealing with well water. So they have a series of inline filters. And I was telling them, your only thing you're doing with the series of inline filters regarding well water is basically, damaging your pump because well pumps are not made or designed to pump against resistance. And so when you have ferrous iron in the water and ferrous iron is passing through a series of filters, those filters by themselves will slow the water flow rate down. And as you're slowing the water flow rate down, then what happens is you're oxidizing the iron. And so now you have oxidized iron inside that filter housing, and then it's going to pass through. So now you have both what's called oxidized iron, which is called ferric iron, and then you have, the water that's still unoxidized as it comes through, that's ferrous iron. In both cases, iron will precipitate, come out of solution and form, become physical in a sense, and that's where it builds up in the back of the toilet bowl, stains the shower walls, the tile. I was at a home the other day that had clearly signs of iron bacteria. And when there's iron bacteria, it's safe to say there's coliform bacteria. Mm-hmm. And the gentleman we talked about with the mobile home park, with the high nitrates. Well, part of the problem is they're close to a septic system. So if you're going to have high nitrates and you're close to a septic systems can be a source of nitrates, right? Then you're also going to have, bacteria, and they do test positive for coliform bacteria. But that community, the water has to be chlorinated. So the chlorination will kill the coliform bacteria, but doesn't do anything for the nitrates in the water.
Now, for your point of view RO system, does that change any way for well water customers?
Point of use reverse osmosis units cannot handle iron content. They're not designed for iron.
Okay.
So if there's iron in the water, then you absolutely need to, treat the water first before using reverse osmosis. So, the lady I was talking to this morning, she has a current system, but it's not designed properly for what her water issues are. So if she's bleeding iron content, the RO system would not last long. See, the reverse osmosis is nanofiltration. So when we said an RO system technology can remove this 1,4-dioxane. Mm-hmm. Well, it's because it's nanofiltration, which is 0.001 micron. However, think of a roll of paper towels. That's what, an RO filter is wrapped in layers. If you have a contaminant like iron, oxidized iron, try to go through an RO, you're going to swell that membrane up. It's just going to explode, and then it can't filter anything because it's not designed to deal with any iron at all. If you look at an operating parameters for reverse osmosis, it's less than, an RO system can handle less than 0.01 part per million of RO. That's not much. So ROs are designed to complement or be complemented by soft water.
Have you been in homes with well water where they were sold a treatment system and didn't take care of the water problem first.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's unfortunate. See, when you have problem water and you want to filter it, and you have iron in the water, a single tank filtration system has no choice but to use that same dirty water to try to clean itself. Mm-hmm. So you're defeating the purpose. It's like, why try to use a single tank solution? And when it goes through a cleaning cycle, it has no choice but to use that same dirty water. Now, see, you live in town, so you have good old-fashioned hard water. So with good old-fashioned hard water, a water softener can handle that. When it goes through its cleaning cycle, it can absolutely handle, fighting off hardness with that saltwater solution during the backwashing stage.
Right.
Now, what your system does is your system sends soft water to dissolve the salt. So when you're ready to go through its backwashing, what it's pulling out of the salt tank is soft water. A lot of companies don't do that. So, the technology that we use, technically, we're using soft water to dissolve the salt. And then when a water softener goes through a cleaning cycle, a water softener control valve does not have a pump. What a water softener does, it's pretty ingenious. What a water softener does is a water softener creates a siphon. They send water down the drain, and as they're sending water down the drain, that creates a siphon that takes the water out of the brine tank.
Interesting.
And so we use soft water to dissolve the salt, because if we use calcium, then what would happen? The calcium would oxidize inside the brine tank, and then you create issues. That's why a lot of these units you buy online, it's 35-year-old technology. And so, they don't have that soft water brine, and so then, the injectors can plug. See, years ago, the water softening industry, a lot of companies made their profit on the salt route. So they provided systems that used a lot of salt. And then there became a pushback. People started, I don't want to spend all that money. So then other companies came out and said, hey, our unit's efficient. You're not going to have to, they used to say, don't feed the salt hog. Right? Mm-hmm. And so now, and then the internet came thanks to Al Gore. And now we have, false, information out there regarding salt-free water softeners. That's just not real. They don't exist.
And that's what we have to, anytime in advertising, hopefully everybody understands this by now, that anybody can say anything. There's no advertising police out there to correct them, and they can say it all they want, but it's just not true.
That's not true. Salt-free water softeners do not exist. And you and I, you pointed out a major, a major water softening retailer out there, that's been around for years. They went on Facebook and tried to do a salt-free, what they call it?
Yeah, and there was actually a campaign, just for letting everybody know there was, and I was reading through some of the comments there, and one gentleman said, look, I worked for this company, I think he said for 25 or 30 years, and he said, there's no such thing
as a salt-free. Yeah, there's no such thing as zero wastewater reverse osmosis units either, and that's another thing that's out there. Water is not 100% H2O anymore, and so with all these chemical contaminants that's in the water, how can you have zero wastewater RO? So what that means is that the RO membrane, water is lighter than any chemical contamination around, so the water is going to pass through the membrane, and then the chemical contaminants are going to be trapped.
Right,
and then the chemical wastewater goes, the contaminants, we send it down the drain. So based on water hardness, water temperature, total dissolved solids will determine. Modern day reverse osmosis units will go through 2 gallons of water to make 1 gallon of drinking water, or based on your water quality, it could be as high as 3 gallons of water to make 1 gallon of drinking water. But it's not 100% H2O. So, if you have a water softener, the water softener takes out the hardness, which is great because the RO won't get beat up by hard water. So, remember this. Calcium carbonate is water hardness. Sodium chloride is the detergent. The calcium and the chloride go down the drain. The sodium carbonate is the byproduct of a water softener, which is baking soda. Then the reverse osmosis removes the sodium carbonate and other contaminants where you have 98 to 99% pure H2O. And great looking ice cubes.
Yep. And I got it.
You got it.
And I got it. Hey, you can too, but you got to make the call, 303-862-5554. Take control of your water quality in your home. You can do it today. Paul will come out, free in-home water test. And if you've got a system, we've mentioned this a few times, if you've got a system and you'd like just to see if it's working properly and doing what it was supposed to do and what you were sold on it would do, hey, Paul will test that out for you as well. 303-862-5554.
Turn a normal day into an adventure on an e-bike. Hi, I'm Randy Caranci, founder of E-Bike of Colorado. E-bikes are a fun way to ride around town. Just try it. Pedal assist technology flattens the steepest hills. We have 14 major brands to choose from, and our expert staff will find you the perfect bike. Come take a free test ride at E-Bike of Colorado in downtown Louisville next to the historic grain elevator. Open 7 days a week from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Learn more at ebikeofcolorado.com. Just try it.
If you're looking for great quality eye care, look no further than Stack Optical. Hey, this is Scott Watley, and for over 20 years, Alan Stack has been taking care of our optical needs. At Stack Optical, they handle all of your eyewear needs with glasses, prescription glasses, shooting glasses, sunglasses, contacts, eyeglass repairs, and yes, even eye exams. And those eye exams are only $69. And if you've been told you've got a complicated prescription, that's just one of the specialties at Stack Optical. At Stack Optical, they have their own on-site lab, and in most cases, you can have your new glasses in just 2 to 3 days. Stack Optical, 2233 South Monaco Parkway. Free and up-close parking. Call them today, 303-321-1578. That's 303-321-1578, or visit stackoptical.com. And remember, at Stack Optical, you'll see the difference.
This is KLZ 560, your home station.
Welcome back to the show. My name is Scott Watley, along with Paul the Waterman. It is Water Pros, 303-862-5554. And if you're just joining us, hey, we are talking about a new term we have learned about, breaking news.
A new contaminant.
New contaminant
in the water supply.
Dioxane.
1,4-dioxane.
1,4-dioxane.
From the news.
From the
desk
news.
of Water Pros, we have a new contaminant identified as 1,4-dioxane.
And here's one thing, too, and again, so much of this comes to health issues, and Paul's mentioned this throughout the show today, but about this causing cancer. And it says through some of their studies, the 1,4-dioxane causes cancer in humans. I mean,
it affects the liver, affects the kidneys, everything,
nasal cavity. Yep.
First thing is that, water is a flushing agent, and so if we're drinking a bunch of water that's contaminated, there's a cause and reaction for everything, right? For example, let's use this analogy. If you take too much medication, it could create side effects. I remember, my great-grandmother years ago was taking one medication and it created problems with her gallbladder. That's just, I never forget that. And then it's kind of like, and I'm sure people out there taking medications and, they want you to go in and do a test to make sure that your kidneys or liver are okay. Mm-hmm. And so now, clearly with this contaminant, what it does is that it goes through the soil. So the soil doesn't grab it, the earth doesn't filter it, it stays right in liquid form, and it goes right back to the to water reservoirs, to the aquifers.
Right.
And again, at least 104 years of this type of contaminant has been used, and as society grows, the more the contamination is going to grow. And then so these are just this is, I think, one. And then I'm sure we're going to find many more of these other and the way to really treat your water is point of use reverse osmosis. Everybody out there truly has to take their drinking water seriously. Think about this. You buy a car that you want to buy with safety features that you want to have, but also for comfort.
Sure.
Okay. You buy your phone, right, that you get used to, whether you're an Apple phone or Google phone or Samsung or Galaxy, okay. Television, people like the big screen TVs. So I think at that order, you really need to think about my own, reverse osmosis drinking water filter system. And then, as I mentioned today, people need to look at water softeners as a way to protect the environment by eliminating and cutting back other, cleaning products that are in our water supply.
Have you seen some areas where maybe a year ago or 2 years ago you tested this area and the water, was maybe not, it was okay, a little hard, but then you went back, 6 months, a year later, and it had changed? Does water change?
Water quality absolutely does change. And here's another thing. I was at the house the other day. They have naturally soft water, but they have silica. Silica looks like hard water. It's got the deposits built up. You look at it, think it's hard water. It's not. The water was naturally soft. It's silica. And silica requires an anion resin media, opposite of a cation resin media, to remove it.
Okay, so explain those two terms there a little bit for us.
So what you have is water softening is a cation resin, which is designed to remove hardness.
Right.
Hang on one second. So then anion resin is an opposite charge molecule that removes the silica. So water hardness can have a negative charge. The resin is positive. Silica has a positive charge. Anion resin is negative. So you're removing those two in a liquid, before they oxidize and convert.
Right.
So I went to this house and you feel the water. It's nice, like it feels like slickery, soft water, but holy cow. There's calcium, it's not, it's silica, but it looks like, calcium buildup, and it's all over the faucets, all over the refrigerator, water dispenser, ice dispenser, and it's silica.
And if you look at us, we just go around and look at our fixtures thinking, man, if that's doing that to metal, what in the world is it doing to me inside?
One of the things we really need to think about, in my opinion, when we're talking about water quality, is the long-term effect on our health. And I think it's something, I don't know about you, but I think, let's say the last month, information that we've shared with folks, wouldn't you agree that the water that's being served to us right now could affect our long-term health?
Oh, absolutely. And I tell you, I take what we read, and of course, you read things on the internet and Google, but you read from things from different states. You read things from their government websites. But when I saw a cardiologist that I have seen before, on Channel 9, and he was talking about during surgeries and all these different things, they're finding this is a big problem. Man, that was huge to me.
Yeah, I think we have to. Last week, didn't we do like 1 through 5, kind of, what rated the water problems? We have microplastics in the water. We haven't talked about that much today. Microplastics are there. PFAS, now we have over 9,000 PFAS in the water. Pharmaceuticals, absolutely have a pharmaceutical problem in our drinking water today. Microplastics and nanoplastics building up inside our arteries. Pretty soon, what if nanoplastics get into our eyes and affect our vision?
Right.
I don't think that's far off.
Probably not.
I mean, if you find them in the fatty tissue, a study was done that the fatty tissue in your arteries, remember a study, they found them in a placenta? And then, research that when we first broke the story, there was a video out where they were also concerned going through the cell of the nuclei of the cell, right? And so my other concern is that eventually brain cells and brain tissue,
right?
Okay. My other concern is that will they penetrate and get into affect our vision?
In both of our brain cells,
right?
For me and you,
yeah, right. We don't have a lot to spare.
Exactly. Hey, it's Water Pros. Give them a call. It's 303-862-5554. And seriously, maybe you say, I've already got a system, we're happy with it. You may be happy with it, but is it doing what you think it is doing for your water quality as far as drinking water and to soften your water? Give Paul a call. He'll come out, do the free in-home water test, check your current system. But you got to make the call, 303-862-5554. We got to hit our last break real quick, but a few more minutes left. Don't go anywhere.
Here's why you need personal injury attorney Kevin Flesh on your side. He understands the way the jury thinks. In the context of a personal injury case, you've been hurt by someone else's negligence. The idea is that you're going to try to recover so that you can get back to where you were just prior to that incident occurring. What that really means from a jurist perspective is that you're going to be asking them to award you money. So when we talk about fairness, we're talking about 6 people that you don't know. Those 6 people view the evidence and make a unanimous decision that will decide what the fair value is. When you're the one who's hurt, you have a good idea of what you think it's worth. The question is, can you persuade those other individuals whom you don't know and were witnesses to believe that's what the case is worth? Kevin Flesh understands the way the jury thinks. Call now for a free consultation, 303-806-8886. Flesh and Beck Law. They get results.
If you're planning a hike in the mountains with your dog, remember, what may be easy for you may not be so easy for your dog. Hey, this is Scott Watley for my friends and my vet, Lone Tree Veterinary Medical Center, with a message about mountain hiking with our dogs. Just as in people, our dogs can experience the effects of altitude, and some can be serious. So here are a few quick tips for preventing altitude problems. Number 1, don't make a 14er the first hike you take with your dog. Start with short hikes in the foothills and work up to those higher elevations and longer hikes over several weeks. Keep your dog on a 6-foot leash and don't let your dog wander off the trail. Number 2, pay close attention to how your dog is doing. Slowing down and panting are signs your dog needs to stop and rest, drink water, or head back to the trailhead. Number 3, take plenty of water for your dog, more than you think you'll need, along with food and treats. Pack a pet first aid kit and a dog transport sling just in case your dog is injured or can't walk back on its own. For more information, check out our blog at Hiking the Trails Safely with Your Dog on the blog page at LoneTreeVet.com. If you have any questions about your pet, don't hesitate to contact the staff at Lone Tree Veterinary Medical Center at 303-708-8050. That's 303-708-8050.
This is 560 KLZ, your home station.
Welcome back to Water Talk. Again, my name is Scott Watley with Paul the Waterman with Water Pros. Once again, the number 303-862-5554. You know, Paul, you've been doing this a long time, and when you look at how this has evolved, I mean, if I'd have told you, 15 years ago, man, here's what you're going to be talking about in 15 years, you would have probably just, no way.
No.
A few contaminants in the water that we've been cleaning up through the years, but now.
15 years ago, bottled water was still a fad.
Oh, yeah.
Right. I mean, when bottled water first came out, I was laughing at it. Why pay for something like that?
Mm-hmm.
I remember, a kid growing up, and then, yuppies drank bottled water. And now, bottled water got to be, necessity for a lot of people. It got to be a point of what they thought was health.
And, dude, when you go to the grocery stores now or, Costco, whatever, well, there are aisles.
But now what happened? The bottled water industry had a massive, contamination of nanoplastics. And then there's two, main bottled water, because of the bottles, there's a recall. Over 70,000 of them were recalled, the bottles. I think one of them was Fuji.
Fuji.
Bottled water.
Right.
And so now, it's up to us to again, if you had your point of use reverse osmosis and you got your own stainless steel, travel mug. Have you tried that yet, Scott? Get a stainless steel travel mug now, right? You got our RO system.
Right.
Put your ice cubes and your water in there, and then, that lasts forever.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, really, I did that in one of my hunting thermostills I use, and man, I'm telling you, it is so good.
It's good.
And it's really an honest to goodness, man. And I hate drinking water. I mean, I ended up in the hospital, to be honest, a month ago because I hate drinking water so much. But it is refreshing.
It is refreshing.
When it tastes good, you don't mind it.
You know. So okay. So I want to switch gears real quick. We just got done celebrating the 80th anniversary of D-Day. So, I really want to mention, I'm grateful. If you guys go to YouTube, you can, there's a channel on YouTube, you can listen to the actual D-Day broadcast. And when it first started, when D-Day first started, they thought it was, German propaganda. The Germans announced the invasion before anybody. And then what was really weird to me is they referred to Eisenhower as the Supreme Commander. They were waiting for word in London from the Supreme Commander, Allied Supreme Commander. I don't know why I found that was so weird. I never thought we would have somebody, would call a Supreme Commander, but that's what he was. And so it's just and then they confirmed that the invasion had begun. And the way they talked about it in the news story, which was amazing, is pretty much how they news coverage today.
And, I was checking the total when I saw it because sometimes you just don't think about things till it comes up for the anniversary. But, 4,414 Allied troops were killed on D-Day itself, including 2,501 Americans. More than 5,000 were wounded in the ensuing Battle of Normandy. 73,000 Allied forces were killed and 153,000 wounded.
I used to watch Saving Private Ryan every year.
Dude, that's a tough. I mean, it opens up like, wow.
But that's what they went through. I mean, what they went through. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was like that's the reality. And so, the greatest generation. I mean, my grandfather never, bragged about his Purple Heart, never talked about his Purple Heart. Mm-hmm. I never even knew he had a Purple Heart until, years later. He was, served in Africa and Italy. And I remember he had 3 bullet holes in his chest from the war.
Wow.
And so I just, I want to, talk about that. And I'm just grateful, that, and we're losing those guys. I mean, and one guy that was on the news, it was 101 years old. Mm-hmm. So 80 years ago, that means he was 21.
Yeah, think about that.
Right. And so it's amazing. So I'm grateful. I just, we all, I recommend we all pray, and I want to say hi to my beautiful wife, Colleen. She's going to be working with us at Water Pros more often. So when you call, she's going to be that beautiful voice that's going to answer the phone and help everybody out. So I'm grateful for that. I just think everybody needs to really, really think about sincerely for your own health, point of use reverse osmosis.
Yep. I'm glad we did, and I'm glad we got it, man.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We appreciate it. Have a good weekend.
Be blessed. Take care.
Thanks for being with us today for Water Talk. Hey, give them a call, 303-862-5554. Thanks for being with us. Hope you have a great weekend. Join us for Sportsman of Colorado, Saturdays 1 to 2, right here on KLZ 560.
The views and opinions expressed on KLZ 560 are those of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect those of Crawford Broadcasting, the station, management, employees, associates, or advertisers. KLZ 560 is a Crawford Broadcasting God and Country station.